Hello and welcome to Lamplighter. Today is February 12. Today, as we continue to explore this developing nation of Israel as they journey closer and closer to that land of promise, the land of Canaan, they hit a little bit of an obstacle or a snag along the way in our daily reading today. You see, Balaam, who had actually kind of worked for them, turns against them with the Moabite people now. Balaam inspires Moab to go after Israel in a unique kind of attack. The question we have to ask ourselves is, how do you destroy a theocratic nation? Now, that's a word we don't use a lot today, but remember, we've already described this developing nation of Israel not as a democracy of the people, by the people, and for the people, but a theocracy, a system of government that's built completely around only one ruler, and that ruler is God. Everything is about God. He is in control of all things. He is the ruler over all things. He is the one who sets the rules for the people to follow. With that in mind, the question again is, how can you destroy a theocratic nation? Well, in order to do that, you have to do it morally. Get the people to violate God's law. Get the people to go against God's will. Since God is a spiritual leader, we're talking about spiritual violations of his aspirations and plans for this developing nation of Israel. Moab seems to recognize this, and Balaam inspires the women among the Moabites to seduce the Israelite men, to come into relations with them so that they might not only merge the two nations together, but they might also get them to follow their idolatrous gods. And so Israel goes into idolatry. Really? After everything that God has done? Have they forgotten the parting of the Red Sea? Have they forgotten the provision of bread from heaven? Have they forgotten water from a rock? Have they forgotten God's displays of anger and wrath when they misbehaved and disobeyed his will? How quickly they forget, and now they go after other gods. God is very angry. He sends a plague among the people. There's even one Levite in particular who flaunts his relationship with a Moabite woman and is an embarrassment and a humiliation to his people, so much so that Phinehas, one of the descendants of Aaron, in his display of honor and rebuke, takes his spear and drives it through the man and the woman that he's taken from the Moabite clan. When God sees this, he is pleased because Phinehas has defended his honor. He has defended the honor of God. And because of Phinehas and his action, the plague is halted and atonement once again is made for the people. Phinehas is rewarded as being one who is zealous, not for himself, but for God. So the Israelites go into war with Midian at this point, and they kill all 5 of the Midianite kings. And they also have all the women and boys killed at God's command. Now, to many people, this seems very harsh, but it's a judgment against sin. It's a judgment against even potential sin. And what we're seeing is how important it is to understand from a very early level that wrong relationships can easily influence religious devotions. Let me say that again. Wrong relationships can easily influence religious devotion. We see the Israelites forgetting their God when they get into wrong relationships with these Moabite women. This is the reason, by the way, even when the people move into the land of Canaan a little bit later, God always prohibits intermarriage with other nations. It is not a racial issue, it's a spiritual issue. God does not want the people to go after other gods. When they get among the Moabites here or the Canaanites later, these are going to be people who worship a multitude of gods. And God, again, wants his nation to be holy and to be pure. So a cleansing takes place after this war with the Moabites a complete purification of the nation of Israel, very specific once again. And again, we see this phrase interwoven throughout the text, as the Lord commanded Moses. This is the way the people respond. And so they start to look among themselves and evaluate. There are no soldiers missing. They start to distribute, the plunder, and from that plunder give an offering to God. They are going to destroy even the weakest links and the potential for any future harm by killing the women and the boys of the Moabite people. And rewards are always given to the people who wage war against sin. Once again, don't miss the fact that this is not a typical kind of war. It's not a typical kind of battle. It is a spiritual battle, and it's critically important for the people of God to maintain their identity as the people of God. By the way, are there some obvious applications for us today? We are still at war. The nation in which we live goes after a multitude of gods, some that we can name, others that are unnamed. And yet so many people have their attention diverted or distracted by so many other things vying for our attention. It is important for us, even today, as the people of God, to be dedicated to Him. He is our God. He is our ruler. He is the one who sets the agenda. He is the one who makes the rules. It is to Him we will profess our loyalty. It is to Him we will give our obedience. He is the one who will reward us, not only in this life, but in a life to come that goes on forever. Isn't it great to be a lamplighter? His word is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. I hope you have a blessed day.